Hey, this is Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and today is Opinion versus Opinion, and I'm with Jonathan Charney, John Manichastic, and myself, and this is where we have an opportunity to discuss what in the heck is going on in this crazy world and why.
This
And-
mad.
Why?
Why?
Don't
I mean,
ask
just why?
Why
you know?
is a totally illegal question.
So anyway,
You couldn't
Jonathan,
handle the why.
Jonathan, you said you had a burning story that you want to talk about.
Well, I
so.
figured I'd get this one out of the way because I think it's the most interesting. Have you heard about the Mozilla CEO that was fired?
Yes.
And the reason why? And I've got three sources here.
The
One
reason why?
Well, here the sources are from Slate, Breitbart, and Value Ag. Take that one as you leave it.
Well, I can take Breitbart along with Value Ag, but go ahead.
Well, the interesting reason is they say is because he donated in 2008 to the Prop 8 campaign. He donated $1,000,
Yeah.
and he was fired. And interesting, one of the reasons were, let's see, where was it? So according to Breitbart, on Thursday, Mozilla CEO Brendan Eich, I guess that's how you say it, resigned thanks to pressure by both company infrastructure and left over $1,000 donations he made to $1,000 donation he made to Proposition 8, a 2008 ballot initiative. So it looks like
You've
the
gotta be kidding me.
the community and the company, everybody complained about the fact he was terminated because of something he did with his personal money on his personal
Point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Wait
funny
a minute. Proposition 8
it
was
was the gay marriage.
right, and he and
He
just
was
trying to get
pros.
this straight. Someone in the Silicon Valley objected to him contributing to a pro-gay marriage
No,
bill.
it's against gay marriage. Prop 8 was the one that marriage, like keep marriage between a man and a woman.
Okay, be clear. Yeah.
Well, the
Okay.
reason I find this interesting because it really has nothing to do what Mozilla does. Mozilla makes Firefox web browser. You could make the argument that it's in the valley, that it has to do with people, but it has nothing to do with the core mission of Mozilla itself, which is the reason I find it interesting.
Well, one way or the other, Mozilla, you don't. That's a huge backlash, and I've got to tell you, if you consider Breitbart a source, I got to tell you, I don't. They're just ramacacklings of reactionaries and
I
right
think it's,
wingers.
it's conjecture, if you want.
Well, that on Breitbart, I was looking.
It's slightly more than a blog. I chose not to go. I've seen the things, and I haven't investigated it much. It doesn't affect the operations of Mozilla on a daily basis, which are getting worse by the day, as we both know.
Yes.
So, somebody might have said that. It might have been, I don't know. I can't discuss it, but it might have been also somebody saying Mozilla sucks now, and
It's his fault, yeah.
you can get attacked by viruses through Mozilla now. So it's not working well. So he resigned. And I have to do. I just don't think that would be the reason he resigned over 1,000. Because you have situations where guys on the left have made contributions to political campaigns. I think. I think the sports guy that everybody loves. You guys love him.
The broadcast.com.
The NSNBC guy
Yeah.
that quit. And Al Jazeera guy that quit, and I can't think of his name. I can see his face.
I was going to
And
say,
he's-
well,
Huh?
the two things, I chose Breitbart because I was looking for figures, and I found it on it wasn't Breitbart, but Breitbart had the figures I was looking for because I remember seeing it. The most interesting reason why, I'm almost positive it was because of it, there were websites like OkCupid who said, because of Mozilla's one of Mozilla's founders / new CEO donated $1,000 to Prop 8. We are not letting you blah blah blah. Please use another browser.
perfectly within their First Amendment rights.
Totally. But there were websites for them, and there's another one that I have never ever heard of called Truth Revolt that was pro, so it wouldn't let you use Firefox because of what they did after his resignation. Breitbart's news editor at large, Bren Shapiro's comment was, and take this as you leave it, the hypocrites who seek to bully and destroy the lives of those whom they disagree must be held to their own standard of conduct, our organization seeks to create mutually assured destruction. That kind of was BS.
The whole thing about that statement and the whole deal in general is what we come down to, the point where I say you're an asshole and you say I'm an idiot, and nothing gets done, and we walk away, and that's the end of the argument.
I think what we're also not looking at is you got to look at what he signed for his contract when he was hired. There are possibly in his contracts areas and things that he cannot discuss. It's that does happen.
Like a morality clause.
It could be. I mean, it could be something like that.
It could easily be a morality clause.
Yeah. And so we don't know if that may have been in his contract and he may have violated that, and that's why he was let go. So it's just conjecture.
Okay, this is something I didn't find and I didn't think of, to be honest. I don't know. They say he's the new CEO, so I'm assuming he was most recently, within the last couple of years, appointed the CEO. I don't know for sure. And if it was the truth, this was in 2008. I mean, this would have been a number of years before he was even appointed. Because I think I read somewhere that this was dug up because of the IRS. Don't quote me on that.
Well, it's a legitimate tax deduction if it's a 501c3 that he gave it to,
right,
or a 501c4.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, 08, and then again, I've got to ask the question. Do you really want to pose the question of why our best and our brightest aren't running for political office? I made a $1,000 contribution to a proposition in California, which is, propositions in California, right? I made a $1,000 contribution, and I'm forced to resign.
Yeah.
It's as bad as McCarthyism.
Yeah.
And the other
Somebody said they saw me coming out of a communist party meeting in 1943. You are a communist.
Right.
So
have you ever been?
So I just, after reading about this, it just seems, I honestly don't get it. And I found another news source. I didn't really read the article all that much. That says the founder of OkCupid also donated to Prop 8 campaign at one point. So it seems like somebody really had it up for him.
You took one side or the other.
Yeah.
And the reason the proposition failed was mainly by exploiting the minority communities, both the Hispanic and the African American communities, who are still fairly homophobic, except for their own homophobes. That's the part. And I see it. God, I could get off into minutia here, and I'm certainly not being homosexual. It's just observational from a heterosexual's point of view, looking at the homosexual community. But they go at it pretty good. It just doesn't make any sense. They certainly have achieved a position of they've moved their civil rights issue very much towards the front. But I don't know. I can't discuss it. I'll read more about it. But I thought it trivial. I didn't think it was, if the guy resigned, so he was either pressured or he personally felt he could no longer do the job.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I have two feelings on that. Is I actually think he was pressured because the amount of press it was getting from Mozilla. I don't doubt there were people from within saying you've got to go because this is harming what you helped create. My assumption, of course.
Well,
So we're talking about a pro
traditional marriage
group against
a pro Proposition 8 as opposed to an anti-Proposition 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Proposition 8 said you cannot have marriage between a man and a man or a woman and a woman.
Correct.
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 A marriage can only be between a man and a woman.
Yeah, and I think this was a constitutional amendment, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was. It was a California constitutional amendment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can easily see why it was defeated. I mean,
and the most interesting comment was from Valleywag. I don't believe I'm saying this, dear God. It says, the industry is in the midst of a serious talent crunch. Having a CEO who invested in the campaign against gay rights wasn't going to help Mozilla retain and hire employees. If you have to write a blog post promising that inclusive health benefits won't regress under your reigns, that's bad for the company. I found that the most insightful comment, honestly.
So far that I've heard, I probably agree with you on it. But I don't understand at this day and age, and particularly in the location where Mozilla is, that it's an issue.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really kind of crazy that.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're having some minor technical difficulties. Apparently, we'll continue on with the conversation.
Yeah. No, we'll move along while John comes back.
I'm with you. I don't get why. I really don't get why somebody in this day of age and it has absolutely nothing to do with.
Sorry,
Whoa.
I was away for a minute.
Sorry about
I'm
that.
back.
I really don't understand why it has nothing to do with that. So I don't understand why couldn't they just say, okay, let him do that and let's move on.
I'd be
don't
willing
get
to
it
bet
personally.
there's something in his contract somewhere, because in this day and age, what the heck? You should have ability to state your personal opinion, right or wrong, if you like it or not, unless there is some tool out there that says you can't do that.
Okay, I do have a question for you and John. Say, I don't know, you had this amazing company, like say Apple, and the CEO of Apple came out and said, I hate, this widget, and it would turn out to look negative to the company. Like this, for example, would that be grounds for terminating him if it ended up hurting the bottom line of the company? Even though he said that on his personal time,
But he's talking about this. The difference, though, your analogy is he's talking about a product that could be used on his platform.
Okay,
that's
or
business.
Or gay marriage, but even if it's on your own personal time,
yeah,
and your own personal bill,
yeah, that's right. In that period of time, you would be seen as doing negative or doing harm to your company. If you're hired to be the spokesman, CEO, whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden you're out there and you're blogging or you're talking to shows like us or whatever, and you say, hey, you know what, this is a stupid app, don't get it, and it affects the company in some way, yeah, that's grounds of termination.
Okay, this is a very random question. I remember during the last election, one of the candidates were secretly recorded, unbeknownst to him, and that was published.
But that's illegal.
Well, no. See, what happened if it was that? I mean, I'm a little bit minutiae and a little bit pedantic, but I'm curious. What would happen if say, the CEO was secretly recorded saying, "I hate gays. All gays are." Insert comment here. I wish they would.
Did they prosecute Jimmy Carter's grandson?
I don't know, Jonathan. I'm with John in a certain degree. I think this is a non-issue story. They'll find something. Mozilla has so many problems.
See,
this guy might have wanted to leave.
See,
this could be a godsend for him, because
Yeah.
I have been a Mozilla user for a very long time, and confronted you 4 months ago saying somebody stole my browser and
Yeah.
I can't get them out.
Yeah.
Of which Jonathan wisely said Google it, and then I found out I was far from the only person that got their Mozilla browser stolen.
Yeah.
They've got so many rules. They've got, I'm with your dad. They've got so many issues. This might be just the easiest way to dismiss him.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, I think he's one of the co-founders of JavaScript and a bunch of other things. But here's the reason why I think this is an
You know what that
interesting
means
precedent.
at the end of the day? He doesn't need a job.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Depending, I don't know how exactly JavaScript. I don't know if it's GPL or not. But here's the reason why I think it's an interesting precedent is the future, the slippery slope. I mean, if this guy, say a company like
I got it. I don't know that it's the future. I think it's now. I think we just heard the Hobby Lobby suit in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, or what happens if?
They did.
Or what happens if, like the new CEO of Apple donates money to the NRA, and he ends up having to quit because of it? So
you're saying at what point
Something tells me that a guy could not make his way through the ranks of Apple that would be of that train of thought.
No, I don't disagree. It's a bad example. But
Oh,
what
come
happens,
on. Not everybody's anti.
Well, what happens, if he's donated to the NRA or he donates to Planned
in the
Parenthood?
socialist community he runs around in, he wouldn't be saying, I gave 1,000 to the NRA last year.
Well, but I think this was found out through IRS records. I mean, this was not. I doubt this was something that he publicly said.
Yeah.
How could they find it out through IRS records when you couldn't get Romney's IRS records. How come you can get the CEO of Mozilla's IRS records?
Because he doesn't have the pull, man.
I
mean, it's all about,
I don't
exactly,
I don't exactly. I don't exactly remember how they got it, but I mean, it just seems to me like it's a slippery slope.
Does he have a 12-car elevator in his garage?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's all down to the shekels. And
the shekels. I'm gonna jump in with this story. The vaunted Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District that never does anything wrong. A week ago, had their 60-year-old wrestling coach tackle, take down, and detain a student that was selling drugs in his class. And he told him to stop and to stay here because he was going to call the cops. And the kid hit him, according to the story that I've read a zillion times. And, of course, you can do nothing. And I know this as a teacher, to not have a kid sitting there going, right? Mm-hmm. It's all being recorded.
Right.
So the takedown was recorded. And amongst our alum has caused much consternation. And of course, the superintendent of Santa Monica's Malibu Unified School District said he's on suspension. It's spring break. And people kind of overreacted to, he's being suspended. Teachers, well, I'm glad they did, because I related one story to you. I had it happen many, many times. Kids say, well, what would you have done if he would have hit you?
Yeah.
I said, war would have ensued. Okay, you don't pay me enough. There's I've got the right to protect myself if somebody strikes me, teacher or not teacher.
Then you'd
right, no wrong.
Then you'd end up seeing yourself on the 6 o'clock news. Substitute teacher Jon Matajastic hit student in class today and is under arrest for attempted assault.
No, he was the teacher's not under arrest. It's all on videotape as to what the teacher did. The kids are under arrest for selling drugs at the high school.
So the right thing was done. We had witnesses there. It was videotaped. The coach did the correct thing. I mean, selling drugs is not
in school, on campus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like me. I mean, I had this happen to me at a high school. I busted, and I told you guys, a bunch of guys for gambling at lunch.
Right.
I don't know why you find that funny, Jonathan.
It's because where do these kids get this money? When I was in high school, my ass was broke.
Yeah, well, I kind of wonder about that, too.
That's why I'm laughing.
And I busted them in class gambling.
Jeez.
Like, I'm not going to know what it is, and I don't know, as you guys know, I have a history with the gambling industry, and I'm very much, I think gambling's all right. It's kind of like guns. I think gambling's all right, but you just have to approach it correctly and not
time and place
with it.
That's right.
And I had kids come up to me in the parking lot, and I just looked at them and said, what the F are you going to do? If the administration doesn't take it seriously, but you see, the kids have money.
Right.
And it comes down to my story about the parent. All that particular school district cares about is, are we getting the ADA? Are we getting the money for the kids? Does the district have money to continue to exist? After that, education stops happening.
Right.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is from a person who actually teaches and isn't so keep that in mind.
It's all about the money. It's certainly not about the education. Core curriculum, No Child Left Behind. We are so totally lost on how to educate secondary school children.
I do have a question.
It's not even funny.
About
Okay, well, because I want to ask John a question. Do you think this is a nationwide situation, John, or do you think this is a California? Yeah, okay, so you're...
And in this particular instance, an African-American student at Santa Monica High School, the race card's already been played, and I have it, I can tell you that minorities of all kinds kind of go like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And because the administration, they if it doesn't really rankle the boat, and I will tell you that this particular school district is having a big problem in that their superintendent is resigning.
Wow. And
people in the community, he's been the top dog for a long time. And people in the community are going to public meetings and saying, we want you to interview a superintendent that isn't from here. We want you to interview somebody that didn't come up through your ranks, isn't one of your good old boys,
Right.
and your buddy that used to come in here and look at how education's being done in this district.
Good.
Wish him luck
That's
with that.
that's what needs to be done. Yeah.
Believe me, I am not happy that I didn't get a full-time job. Am I now in any way, shape, or form pursuing a job in education? The answer is no.
I have a friend of mine who's a teacher.
Outside of a master's degree, so I could eventually teach junior college.
I have a good friend of mine, actually, and she's a teacher. She's roughly around my age, who said the same thing. She said, she likes helping kids, loves teaching, but teaching in at least California is broken, and she doesn't see a point to even remotely do it, so she does different things in the same field.
And it's not the state. I will tell you where it's
Worldwide, I
broken.
guess.
And we've discussed this before. The family
countrywide.
is broken, and that broken family comes to school, and you can't teach people that are broken, and they're badly broken.
Yeah.
I do have a question, and I've heard this thing called Common Core a lot lately over some sort of hubbub. Can you explain to me what the hell it actually is?
Well, Common Core comes out of the fact that our dear friend Rick Perry couldn't remember that he wanted to get rid of the Department of Education. And the Department of Education didn't even come into existence until the Carter administration. We had a national influence over education, like, when your father and I were kids, we got on the fitness program with the Kennedy administration, and they tested us, and we needed to do so many push-ups, and that's the way it was.
they did something similar when I was in school.
Well, also PE was mandatory. And what I'm finding without PE mandatory, secondary school kids have no personal hygiene.
Yeah.
And in the place where I taught, where it's ungodly freaking hot, you don't have to take PE. Your dad and I'll tell you, as cold and as foggy as it would be in Santa Monica, maybe you got to keep your jeans on.
Right.
Wait. I know, because for me in high school, PE was mandatory for at least 2 years, and after the 2 years for high school, you could choose to take it. You mean you can choose not to take it at all?
Not when we went to school. You took it, you got dressed, you took a shower every single day.
Well, I meant now. I mean, I never took it.
No matter what. Now it's totally, they've got, some vague
Because I took a shower at home.
requirement.
Well,
But I mean, the shower room never gets used except for the team sports. Rob,
That's the way it was
no,
when I
that
was in
wasn't
school.
for us. I can tell you that much.
my parents thought I was going to wear my skin out
Yeah.
because I shower so often. Compared, I can't imagine what it is to get up and go out in public and not have cleansed myself before I go, unless I'm, working on the car or whatever, and I get sweaty and grumpy anyway, and then I'll take a shower afterwards.
Because, when I was in school, you'd take a shower, before or after school and, leave it at that.
So, but did you?
Back
I
to
can't
the big
remember. Did you
subject.
take
Core
PE?
curriculum.
Yeah, I took PE for 2 years. In high school, it was mandatory you take it. Freshman and sophomore year, junior and senior, you could take it if you wanted to, but you couldn't get out of it unless you had a physical disablement that wouldn't let you do it.
And your father and I had a wrinkle in high school in that we were in the marching band.
Right.
And marching band was considered a satisfaction of PE.
You did more than PE required.
And then we continued and actually had PE in concert band, but it was combined with band because, we marched miles.
Oh yeah.
Rob, we must have covered, 2, maybe 300 miles in high school?
Oh, probably.
Just in competition parades?
Oh yeah.
Let alone practice at the beach and practice in the Santa Monica.
Oh
we
yeah.
practiced butts off. We were on our feet a lot of the time.
Yeah, it was-
Needless to say, core curriculum is basically a standardization of curriculum nationwide, so that everybody in every school is getting the same education or the same curriculum points covered across the board.
Now, is this like
the
No
prob-
Child?
The problem.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Was this like No Child Left Behind, where they're teaching to the test, not teaching to the
No
student?
Child Left Behind is still in effect. We're still Star and Casey, and that is high stakes testing. Is No
Yeah.
Child Left Behind, and testing to see that the child is competent in English, math, in science.
Now, this is what I've
Not
heard.
in social science, because they don't test that.
I've been told over the last few years, since that's been a thing, that they only teach to the test. So you could be a genius, but only because the teacher teaches you specifically to the test.
No, number one, those tests don't mean anything outside of the fact that they prove that you are competent on the standards required by the state of California to graduate high school in English, math, and science. They have set a curriculum. And if you get diverted to one of the other forms, if you're not in the regular classroom, then it just becomes credits. You need 100 and I apologize for this, I think you need 152 credits in California to graduate with a high school diploma. And if you get out of the regular system or going to class school, then all it is credits. We will give you credits for doing this. And they're tied directly to standards. That has no depth, that has no enrichment. It's not education. Also, your teaching terms are always in the sophomore, junior, and senior year are interrupted by the test. Mm-hmm. And the problem of it is you can't get full California credit. You can't get it all in and also teach to the test. One of the reasons I couldn't get hired as a social studies teacher is since social studies are not on the test, and now history, government, and economics are the three weakest subjects in our schools. All of them are weak, but they are the weakest. It's because
my favorite subject.
The coach usually teaches them because they're not on the test. And since athletics is no longer, since PE is no longer required, these are wrestling coaches, football coaches.
Specialized coaches, right, yeah.
Right, where money comes into the school from the activity.
Yep.
Yeah. Damn. And they end up teaching these classes because, well, they're not on the test, so, and believe me, I have subbed in many of them, and it's frightening.
Damn, history was literally my favorite subject in school.
And John, I've been told by department heads and other teachers, well, it's just a G class. Like, these kids aren't going to make it anyway, so who cares?
Oh,
wait. Seriously?
We both had questions.
No, this is as a guy who spent a certain segment of my educational career, if that you could, coin a phrase, in special education classes, that actually pisses me off.
It pisses me off that this independent study student can come in, she and her mother can cheat, and the administration goes, well.
If that actually happened to me, my independent studies people would have chewed my ass out for cheating.
Oh,
if your dad was the one that was there and giving you the answers, what do you do?
That would never happen, ever.
Nope.
He wouldn't have let me cheat if I paid him.
He would give you wrong answers.
Yes.
There you go.
He would have purposely screwed with me.
That's right.
You want me to cheat? Here.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll give you. I'll give you the wrong answers. And I can never, folks out there, I don't know if you cheated in school, didn't cheat in school. It never makes any sense to me. Because the problem is, it's a big effort to cheat successfully.
It is.
And the energy that you put into what you think is cheating successfully and writing and micro printing and whatever other bizarre sociopathic things that you come up with to cheat on an educational test, at the end of the day, you could just read the stinking book and study and pass the test.
So before Rob,
the tests aren't that hard.
So before Rob asks his question to John, do you have a comment, question, or hey, do you think you're wrong? Do us a favor, call 530-621-1210. Let us know.
That's right. Call us. We'd like to hear from you. You mentioned, and I was curious about this. How do they do their categories? You said it was only a G class. So how do they test for, if you're a G or AP or whatever it may be? I remember we had that similar when we went to high school. You have
to realize that you and I, in 1960, were the first Iowa test. Mm-hmm. We were the first kids tested to see what our mental abilities were, and an Iowa test wasn't really an IQ test, but it was kind of an IQ test, and it determined placement.
Okay.
As to whether you were a G, a CP, an XL where we were, or an X. Okay. And that was a placement test. Okay. And interpersonal competition and the nature of the educational system that we were fortunate enough to go through, you try to combine kids with equal abilities so that you could be teaching at the same rate and come out the other end.
Okay.
And they still do on the elementary level take like an Iowa test. There is a placement test.
Okay. All right.
And I will tell you, after having taught school, yes, you do have a permanent file.
Interesting.
Oh, I have no doubt about that.
And you can look back on everything you ever. I mean, I was commenting to somebody the other day, I was an idiot. I did not withdraw from an archery class at Santa Monica College when I was the commissioner of activities, the big Makiwara hoo-ha guy, and that F in 2 lousy units has plagued my grade point average from that point on.
Interesting. Well, I was wondering about placement and if it was still going on. And
no,
yeah.
You're giving it. You have to. I mean, you can't have. And that's actually one of the reasons I like the idea that they were experimenting with in L.A., where instruction was done by the instructor on a video, and your homework was to go home and watch the video. And that way you can play it over again. You can't ask questions, but at least you can repeat it and this kind of stuff.
Right.
And what would have otherwise been your homework is what you do in class the next day. And you have peer teaching. In other words, those that got it teach the other ones that maybe have some holes in what they didn't get.
Okay.
And that allows the teacher to go to the students that totally didn't get it and work with them so they get it, while the rest of the class can practice with what would have been their homework. Much smarter idea than trying to do the instruction in class. The problem with it is it puts the responsibility on the parents and the student.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. But here's the difference, and I'll tell you this, Jonathan. When your father and I went to school, there were people at home called your parents who cared very much about how you were doing in school. Even sometimes tried to help you with homework that was over their head. Just like math now has nothing to do with math that I was taught. Completely different process. Okay.
I know that from college, trying to ask my parents to help me.
But your parents actually cared and instilled in you a desire to get an education and to learn more. That is not the case now. And if I hear another student look at me, and I won't because I'm not going back into the classroom, I don't think, I have rights.
No, you
My
don't.
God.
Did I give mine up when I came in here to teach you?
Oh, boy.
I see.
And they talk about a broken education system, and we can live vicariously through John and what he was experiencing.
We had about the super student, super kid that picked up her drunken friend and drove her home and was suspended and removed from all of the extracurricular activities at her high school, right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that says they did the right thing. If they have a zero tolerance policy, they did the right thing. It can't be on a case by case. But we have come to the point where everything has to be a generalization, and some of it is, some of it, and it errs on both sides of ideological points of view.
See, I remember when I was in school, not as long as these two, but I remember you actually had, if you had a bozo student who had just bad parents, bad family life, I remember teachers who actually gave her crap and had the ability to help. Now it doesn't seem like those teachers have, they want to help, but it seems like they just don't have the ability because of this or because of that. There's
two things to it, Jonathan. When you have a class that's anywhere from 38 to 42 kids.
Holy shit.
And usually that's an AP class.
Yeah.
And it really negatively affects me that the kids that have some ability are put in such huge classes that if somebody does get left at the side of the road, you finding out who it is and the peer pressure of him admitting in front of 41 of his friends, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, isn't going to happen.
Huge, okay? And the G kids they just don't give a flying F about.
Right.
And those kids don't give a flying F about being there. I mean, it is so contentious. There used to be an inert desire to learn. I got to tell you, your dad and I came to school and we wanted to learn something. Mm-hmm. And we had great teachers who taught us something and cared about us. And I mean, stupid stuff like shining shoes in Roney's homeroom. But everybody that was a member of Boys League, you could tell them because they had shiny shoes on. And we shined one another's shoes before, you know, as crazy as it sounds. But it was just a thing of decorum, personal pride, and presentation, of which, hey, you know, God, you go to school now. I mean, on a warm day like today, and Jonathan, girls are wearing short shorts that you used to see only in the nudie bars.
Yeah.
Reminds me that this is
Back to the parenting problem.
Well, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I remember a couple of years ago I was in a coffee shop getting coffee, and there was this girl behind the counter who was in high school, who went to the same high school I went to, by the way. And I was talking to her, and so I asked her, so what does school nowadays do with revealing clothing? And she's like, well, they make you wear the PE clothing. So there's girls who apparently have no other clothing except revealing clothing, just wear their PE clothes constantly.
If I was a woman, and as a man, I got to say that I appreciate this, but over time it has come to me, if I as a woman needed to expose my chest as much of the time as they do, in you know, open top. I mean, we don't wear scoop neck T-shirts, guys. We wear T-shirts up to here, okay? Because we got whatever the reason be.
In New York, it's legal to be topless.
I'd resign being a woman. I'd be cold all the time. No reason there to go, oh, I'm freezing in here. Well, you're half naked. And I'm not saying that, and it's our society that makes it that way. But I mean, as a teacher, I just ignored it. But geez, I mean, short shorts and it's not appropriate for a learning environment. It was bad enough when they had dresses on, right, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
The phones were already crazy.
Well, we had what's called dress codes. All right, we were expected. Yeah, we were expected to dress a certain way, and if you didn't, you were either sent home to get the right clothes, you were sent to the dean, or you were just sent home. And I think today, and this is going to sound really weird to some of those, if we have any kids watching this, but I think we would be so much further ahead if we went to uniforms in schools and got rid of all this dressing provocatively in the way they do things. And everybody, I'm telling you, you get that mindset out of that. These young kids are just they're sexual way too early.
I can hear the conservative talking heads making references to the Hitler Youth right as we speak.
Right, but the thing of it is, you know, attractive people are attractive people, and not everybody's got the world's greatest body. Some women are, you know, some men. The fact of the matter is, I'm with your dad. I'd go to uniform so quick your head would spin.
Yep.
But you know what happens? They get distracted. They don't feel, and this is what I try to communicate, kids. It's like when I was a kid, you got up, you got dressed, you packed your lunch, you went to school. You wore the clothes your mom and dad bought you and gave you, and you appreciated it, and you went to school and you learned and you socially interacted and did all this other kind of stuff. There is no way that in a current classroom, you can have any decorum or concentrate on what you're doing. Well, it just doesn't happen.
But when I was in school, I would vehemently disagree.
Of course you would.
No, here's the reason. Because I don't think, even though it was a lot of sexual stuff was there when I was in school, I don't think it's nearly as much as it is now. I think so much is focused on in the media and movies.
It's just like the little girl that's talking to you and you go, oh, by the way, your tongue stud is still in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, clang, clang, I didn't know it. I really just think, Jonathan,
you can't have tattoos that are exposed. And I mean, and I find kids that as soon as they turn 18, Katie barred the door. And I don't understand it. Tats, piercings, you know, and I'm going, I guess that is the way of modern society. It's not the society I grew up in.
The tattoos and piercing it never bother me. I still, unless they're suggestive, racist, you know, such and such. I think the problem now is there's so much sex in the media. I think it's even more than when I was in high school. That I think, as much as I hate to say it, no, it's
more than when we were in high school, Rob?
Yeah.
It's a lot more than when you guys are in high school.
Oh my God!
You guys, you guys luckier to get a Sears catalog. I just think the problem, I think, is I actually think uniforms would be a good thing because it really is. It's gotten way out of hand.
It has gotten out of hand, and it would do multiple things. Not only would it help with, just the fact that these girls, are not going to show off their bodies like they are. It's also going to help with the gang situation. It's going to help with the hygiene situation. There's a whole myriad of reasons. And
here's the other thing, Rob. And when you say about number one, you're right, Jonathan. And when asked by a kid, what's it, would you like? No, I wouldn't like to be a kid when you're a kid. I was happy being a kid when I was being a kid because we try to protect children's innocence.
Right.
There were certain things that parents just said, no, he's not old enough for that yet.
That's right
or wrong. Okay, so I mean, plus it wasn't there. I mean, if you found out where your dad stashed the Playboys, you'd hit the golden hind, and away you went. But now you can go online and get previews at a porno site with people doing things that.
I think part of it is a generation thing.
Imagine of when we were a child, and you can watch it for free. I mean, anywhere on the net.
I think part of it really is it's a total generation gap where the kids now, even I think when I was a kid, were twice as smart as the parents were anything in technology. Except for him, by the way, you couldn't hide anything if you wanted to when I was a kid. But nowadays you've got kids who know so much about the internet, how to hide stuff, and the parents now are, in some respects, dumber than their kids.
Yes, but it's catching up because now the technology kids are becoming parents themselves.
Yes, now
and they're smart enough to know what's going on.
Now they're like, you little rat.
You should have seen the kids in my student teaching economics class the first time I gave a quiz. And I said, and anybody with earbuds, put your name on the paper and just put an F on it if you want those earbuds in during the quiz. What?
You should have slide rules.
Then you could not record and put on your MP3 players the answer to the quiz.
Yeah.
They all looked at me like, dude, I never thought of that.
Yeah, so you spilled the beans.
Dude, there's so much you never thought of that I already have.
You spilled the beans on that one, buddy.
Dude, I mean, come on. And it's insulting that these are just parlor tricks and they think we're stupid.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No. Now, my other rant for the day is the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I have some real issues with Obama on this, is this whole trade agreement, of which Australia just signed on with Japan, which is like worse than NAFTA with Oceania and Asia when it comes to offshoring jobs, and I mean, it's just so deep and so complex. And the thing of it is, it occasionally blips on the news media, and then it'll blip again.
Yeah.
And where I have real problems with Obama, I know you guys watch Ed Schultz every day, but Eddie's like really, because of his labor connections, he's going after this thing hammer and tong. Yeah. They're negotiating it in the dark. Figures. They're not telling us about it. We can't even get a copy. As the citizens of the United States, we can't even get a copy of the proposed agreement.
Okay,
and he'll do it as executive order too.
Huh? And no. No,
you can't do that.
Let's not go Obama bashing.
You started it.
Wait, hold on.
The Congress and the Senate are as implicit in this as the Obama administration is.
Because they have to ratify any treaties we do, right? The president has no ability to backdoor it because technically it's not a ratification of a treaty, and it also can't go against the Constitution.
Is it technically a treaty? If it
wouldn't have been for the Ed Schultzes and the union guys, this thing, it would have already been... write your congressman and ask him where he is on the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Okay, my dad has a good question. Is it a treaty? Is it something that actually needs the congressional approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is a treaty.
And then the Congress and the Senate are complicit in knowing about it, but not. They are held to secrecy. It's being negotiated in secret, and it will so totally tank this economy. If it's signed, it's not even funny. And talk about wage disparities.
Okay, the tin hat or the conspiracist in me is really going. He's doing it on purpose to make American poor, to unite.
Well, my question is you follow the money, right? So, what is this supposed to gain United States?
To make the rich people richer and the poor people poorer.
That would be it, Jonathan. You would be. It's a way to further offshore jobs and get cheap labor, extremely cheap labor. We have an ideological problem. There are people in the Silicon Valley and other places that have made gigantic wealth, huge money, that say, even Warren Buffett, I'll pay more taxes. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Right? They're okay with it. And then there are ones that want the power and control that don't want to pay any taxes anyway, because I gave you a job. Why should I pay taxes?
And they also keep their money in offshore accounts and all sorts of strange three-card Monty things.
$2.3 trillion of American corporate money in foreign bank accounts are not bringing on shore. Yep. Now, a friend of ours will blame that on Obama. Maybe it is, but I think it's totally un-American by these corporations, and we keep giving Shall we talk about the fact, well, we did talk about that between Citizens United and last week's decision, they just opened the floodgates for whoever's got the more money wins.
I actually have a problem of blaming Obama. I mean, I make most conservatives look like a pinko commie, but blaming Obama on something that's been happening since Bush, Clinton, the previous Bush, I think that's a kind of a cop-out blaming.
And I didn't give you guys the name. Trans-Pacific Partnership. Go read about it. You guys, I suspect neither one of you have heard much about it.
Correct.
I've actually remember hearing something about this because what you said recollects fires. It's 100% secret.
I would invite us all to do research and to debate the issue on how we feel about it, which is probably pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Once you guys know what we're talking about. Because it's scary. And the fact that our friends, the Australians, just signed on with the Japanese on both levels, it puts us in since we and the Australians, who aren't still part of the British Commonwealth, but emulate American society kind of more than they do Brit society in many ways, and the Japanese, who are just hosed. I mean, they're just hosed. Fukushima goes on every day.
Well, they have a lot of problems besides their current economic ones.
They have, yeah. I mean, they make our corruption look childish.
So what they have very...
And it's because they've had thousands of years to develop their corruption. We've only had a couple hundred.
So they have very exquisite corruption.
The way they see it. The speciality is the complexity. And and to my Japanese friends, this isn't meant to you. I've just never understood Japanese culture and society, which probably makes me some kind of white man heathen, but just doesn't resonate with me. Never has.
I've watched enough Japanese television shows and read enough about it that I understand a little bit about it, and some of the stuff still, as a Western guy, I don't get.
I just I think you hit it on the head. I think we need to look into this a little bit more before we spend more time talking about it. But
but look at Trans-Pacific Partnership. You'll be that'll burn down an hour pretty quick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you know anything about the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Do us a favor, give us a call, 530-621-1210. That's 530-621-1210. Let us know what you think.
So that's interesting.
Your turn, Rob.
Yeah, well, I got a number of small issues, and one of them we may have talked about a little bit the last show, but I just love it when some of our politicians feel entitled, and they have entitlement, and they are to be held in higher standing than you and I, because somehow they got elected, right? And then we got this fine gentleman from the Bay Area by the name of Leland Yee.
He looks a lot like Martin Yan when you look at him.
He does, yes.
who, for fans of video games here in California, was the guy who tried to ban violent video games, and also the guy who tried to ban firearms in the state of California.
He is the number one anti-gun legislator in California.
Scumbag.
He was accused of conspiring to connect undercover FBI agents with arms dealers. Suspended California State Senator Leland Yee has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Well, of course, he's
Also,
going to do that.
not only suspended, but also removed himself from the Secretary of State
Run.
election.
That's right.
Oh,
Yes.
thank God.
Gee, you think he would have gotten elected?
After we finish with Leland Yee, you want to talk about Jerry Brown's going to be reelected
Oh, that's a slam dunk.
without even trying?
Yeah,
I love it. I love it when Republicans go Brown, 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 and I go, no, in California, Brown's a very good franchise. He'll be reelected.
Yeah, I'd put money on that. His ratings have never been higher.
No, they were higher in the 70s, but he has a 59% approval rating, and it's going up.
Yeah, it's climbing. And from what I read, they said it's the highest it's ever been. But it doesn't matter. He's got it. So that's a.
Well, let's go back to Leland Yee. And
all I wanted to
you
do-
know much more about the story than I do.
Well, one of
all
the-
I know is that Yee is a vehement
Yeah.
anti-gun guy. I mean, he is like. But again, and I hate to say this, and it's such a glancing generalization, it's so Chinese
Well.
to be anti-guns and then get busted
For
for
selling.
illegally trafficking in guns.
And in the United States.
The defense now.
Not only did he trade
'Cause he has
military grade weapons.
Machine guns.
He
RPGs,
was
rocket launchers.
dealing with a Philippines arms dealer.
First mistake.
Yes, first mistake. Of course, he was getting a number of dollars for his campaigns to run from the Japanese mafia.
Yakuza.
The guy is a real charmer, and what really got me, on top of all of this, besides being the hypocrite that he is,
He's an
just,
exquisite hypocrite. By the way.
So, if it was a regular person that would have been charged with these charges, okay, the prosecutor would have said, "We want to hold this person for a cause. We do not believe that they should have bail because they are a flight risk." And more than likely, the judge would have probably said, "I can see that a possibility, and we will hold this person and not allow bail."
Grant him. He'd be on one of those "you're in jail 23 hours a day" type of holds.
So, because of his pull or whatever, he was granted bail, and it would not surprise me at all if he kind of just disappears off the planet.
As much as I know you don't like Yee for a number of reasons, I don't think he'll disappear off the
I
planet.
actually agree with John.
And if someone
the
is
extreme.
he's a state senator, right?
Right.
He has, and I know I can hear the request for bail. He's not a flight risk. He's an established member of the community.
I hear the old examples, but here's the problem. If he's been
I
taking
certainly
money,
wouldn't take off to the Philippines.
that's for sure.
I doubt Japan too.
But how
Yakuza
is he
might
going
have a
to?
problem with him.
How's he going to pay for all this stuff? If these are ill-gotten gains, okay? If all this money,
He should have been incarcerated, and they should have taken all his personal assets,
Yep.
like they do with anybody else,
Yep. They
and
won't.
said, "We got all your money, we got all your houses and all your cars. Go sit in jail."
well,
They won't.
We agree on this one.
I guarantee they won't.
Now, but you just put your foot. Now, I don't know. I think since we only have like 4 or 5 minutes left, I'm going to save the California home brewers for next week.
Oh, okay. All right.
But let's put it this way: the ABC
Yeah.
has come in and decided they can't have brew festivals anymore and invite the general public.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
illegal.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do have a sincere, honest question.
Are they hunting for taxes?
Why?
Oh
what-
man, it's like your gun as a gun owner. You're gonna love what the ABC said.
What happened to the country that I grew up in? Yes, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Shut up. What happened to the country that actually lets you do what you want without getting an approval, a pass, a badge, a certificate, some sort of golden shower, a handshake? When I was a kid, you could do a lot of stuff.
Again, the problem is that people's self-interests, as they gain power, become our interest. Just like the thing where, the community says you have to have an optometrist license in this county to practice optometry. Why?
Yeah, you have a state license.
You have a state license. How come you have to pay a licensing fee here?
It's all
because
money.
We can discriminate, or we can, and this is not good economic theory, it's not an open market. We can exclude people that don't meet our local licensing requirements from practicing their occupation in this county because we don't want to have competition.
Yeah, or if you're in New York, they don't want to have things like Uber because it kind of interferes with, the taxi cab companies, the mobbed up ones.
So we're going to wrap this up. I got a couple of things I wanted to read today. And one of them was the quote of the day. The quote of the day goes to our great friend Dianne Feinstein. She said today, in front of all the rest of her corrupt senators, all vets are mentally ill in some way, and the government should prevent them from owning firearms.
Sorry I didn't hear her say that, because I would have said, "Are you crazy, bitch?"
Yeah, she really said it Thursday in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
If that be what you want, Diane.
Oh, and there goes John, right about where he was gonna beat up on her.
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually think the NSA got a hold of him right there.
The thing of it is, most of your police officers are vets. Yeah. So what are you going to do? Take their guns away?
I mean, this woman is just so.
She's 70 years old.
80.
She's not competent. She wasn't competent early.
So
and it upsets me that she is a representative of the progressive ideas in political society today.
Well,
she's the Strom Thurmond of the Democrats.
I'm gonna.
Oh no, there are others.
Columnist Bert Perlinsky of the Los Angeles Times wrote this little piece right here, and I think it answers all the questions. He says, "Frankly, I don't know what it is about California, but we seem to have a strange urge to elect really obnoxious women to high office. I'm not bragging, you understand, but no other state, including Maine, even comes close. When it comes to sending left-wing dingbats to Washington, we're number one. There's no getting around the fact that the last time anyone saw the likes of Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, Maxine Waters, and Nancy Pelosi, they were stirring a cauldron when the curtain went up on Macbeth. The four of them are like jackasses who happen to possess the gift of gab. You don't know if you should condemn them for their stupidity or simply marvel at their ability to form words."
Wow, that's a great...
They are all products of
the California education system.
The Equal Employment Act of the 70s. I could go into other examples that I run into, and I go, God, is that the Peter Principle in action?
So anyway, I wanted to wrap that up as just the funny little ending piece for today. We've gone on for quite a while. We're at the 1 hour mark, so
we're 3 minutes short by my clock.
Well, your clock is not with our clock.
See, already it starts.
It starts. Hey.
Could you imagine if I was in the same room with you guys? Shit.
This is going to get fun.
It would be fun.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Don't worry about it.
On the positive side, both of us are armed.
I want to thank both of you guys.
The only downside, I get a gun too.
Yeah, right. That's one of the
over your dead body.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for doing the show today. And I'm going to wrap it up one more time. This is Opinion versus Opinion on Whole Guy Tech TV, and hopefully you got a chance to watch it live, and maybe you'll get an idea and call in next week about something you want to talk about. But otherwise, we want to thank you very much for watching the show. Hit that donation button on our page, and we'll see you next week.